When you're not well, I didn't want to hear my name. I did not know who I was anymore because I'm not the person that I used to be. I wanted to be my own hero, to be the best of me. I still. I did not disappear from what I love the most, singing and performing for my fans. They've been supporting me all my life. It took a while because it's a rare disease and I had to go through and find a great team of doctors.
Céline Dion, the voice of an era, the woman who turned heartbreak into timeless music. But now, as she faces the hardest battle of her life, shocking revelations about her immense fortune and the legacy she'll leave behind have her family in tears.
It's like I have a spasm. And I was kind of talking like this. I thought maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe I'll never sing again.
How did Céline build such a staggering empire? And what will happen to it when she's gone? For over 4 decades, Céline Dion has reigned as one of the greatest voices in music history. With a career that spans global tours, record-breaking album sales, and a Las Vegas residency that redefined the entertainment industry, she has built a legacy unlike any other. But behind the glamour, behind the success, is a woman who has endured unimaginable heartbreak. The loss of her husband, René Angélil, the pressures of fame, and now a devastating illness that has forced her to step away from the stage. As Céline confronts her health struggles, attention has turned to the staggering fortune she has built. Worth hundreds of millions, her empire stretches far beyond music. And the untold truth of where it will all go has left her family emotional, divided, and at times in tears. So how did Céline Dion transform from a girl in rural Quebec into one of the richest and most beloved entertainers on earth? And why does her fortune carry such a heartbreaking story? Céline Dion's story begins in Charlemagne, Quebec, where she was the youngest of 14 children in a poor but close-knit family. Her parents, both musicians, instilled in their children a love for music, often performing together in local venues. Céline grew up in a house where money was scarce, but melodies filled every corner. At just 12 years old, she recorded a demo with the help of her family. That tape landed in the hands of René Angélil, a music manager who was so moved by her voice that he mortgaged his home to finance her first album. It was a gamble that changed both of their lives forever. Céline's rise was meteoric. From her early French-language hits to her breakthrough on the international stage, she quickly became a household name. But fame didn't just bring opportunity, it brought financial reward. With every hit single and sold-out tour, Céline began to build not only her reputation, but also her fortune. Still, nobody could have predicted just how far her success would go. And as her career soared, her personal life took a turn that would define her future in ways few could imagine. Céline's relationship with René Angélil was as legendary as her music. He wasn't just her manager, he was her mentor, partner, and eventually her husband. The two married in 1994 in a lavish ceremony broadcast across Canada, symbolizing the merging of business, love, and destiny. Together, they built an empire. René handled her career with precision, securing deals that brought Céline unprecedented wealth and control over her artistry. Under his guidance, she launched global tours, signed lucrative record contracts, and eventually transformed Las Vegas residencies into gold mines. But love stories don't always end happily. In 2016, René lost his battle with cancer, leaving Céline devastated. His passing not only left her heartbroken, but also placed the weight of their financial empire solely on her shoulders. With 3 children to raise and an international career to manage, Céline was suddenly tasked with protecting not only her legacy, but René's as well. This tragedy raised a haunting question. As Celine's health began to falter years later, who would carry forward the empire she and Renee built together?
Due to the complexity of the condition, Celine's doctors methodically eliminated disease after disease, coming to a conclusion.
When Céline Dion announced her Las Vegas residency in 2003, critics were skeptical. At the time, Las Vegas residencies were often considered the end of a performer's career, a place where artists went when their global tours slowed down and their star power faded. Céline was determined to change that narrative forever. Her show, A New Day, opened at the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace and became nothing short of revolutionary. With dazzling stage design, state-of-the-art technology, and Céline's unmatched voice at the center, the residency elevated Las Vegas entertainment to new heights. For 5 nights a week, she performed to packed houses, attracting fans from around the globe. Financially, the residency was a masterstroke. Over its initial 5-year run, A New Day grossed more than $385 million. By the time her second residency, Céline, wrapped up in 2019, she had performed nearly 1,200 shows and generated well over $700 million in revenue. Céline wasn't just singing, she was rewriting the rules of live performance. The residency also reshaped her fortune. With salaries that reportedly reached $500,000 per show, Céline cemented herself as one of the highest-paid performers in the world. She not only made herself wealthy, but also paved the way for artists like Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, and Adele to see Las Vegas as a lucrative career move rather than a last resort. For Céline, Las Vegas wasn't just a gig, it was a kingdom she built, brick by brick, note by note. But as her empire grew in the neon lights of the Strip, her wealth began to stretch far beyond music. So where else did Céline invest her staggering earnings, and how did she transform herself into not just a singer, but a businesswoman? While her residencies and world tours generated staggering amounts of money, Céline Dion was not content to rely solely on music. Guided by Renée's business savvy, she diversified her empire into ventures that solidified her financial future. One of her earliest expansions was into the fragrance industry. In 2003, Céline launched her first perfume, simply called Céline Dion. What started as a celebrity experiment quickly turned into a global success. Over the years, her perfume line has sold millions of bottles, generating an estimated $1 billion in revenue. Few realize that her fragrance business alone became one of the most profitable celebrity product lines in history. Real estate was another cornerstone of Céline's fortune. She invested in properties around the world, from a lavish estate in Florida, complete with its own water park, to a sprawling mansion in Montreal and a palace-like home in Las Vegas. Each property reflected her success, but also represented a secure and tangible way to grow her wealth outside of the stage. She also explored fashion and endorsements, partnering with brands that aligned with her image of elegance and sophistication. In later years, she even launched her own children's clothing line, demonstrating her ability to adapt her brand for new audiences. By the time she reached her 50s, Céline's net worth was estimated at hundreds of millions, placing her among the wealthiest entertainers in the world. But what made her story unique was that her wealth wasn't just about luxury. It was tied to resilience, hard work, and the legacy she built with Renee. And yet, as the empire grew larger, so did the question of inheritance. With Renee gone and Céline now battling her own health struggles, what would happen to this colossal fortune when she could no longer manage it? In recent years, Céline Dion's story has taken a heartbreaking turn. Known for her tireless energy and unmatched stage presence, Céline shocked the world in December 2022 when she revealed she had been diagnosed with a rare and incurable neurological condition, stiff person syndrome.
I've been dealing with problems with my health for a long time.
The announcement left fans devastated. The illness, which causes muscle rigidity and painful spasms, made it nearly impossible for Céline to perform at the level she had maintained for decades. Her concerts were postponed, tours canceled, and eventually, her long-awaited Las Vegas residency was halted indefinitely. For an artist who had given everything to her craft, stepping away from the stage was more than a professional loss. It was personal heartbreak. Céline once said that performing was not just her job, but her identity. To lose her voice, or even the ability to stand before an audience, felt like losing a piece of herself.
But for the better part of the last 2 decades, Céline has felt anything but like herself. Mysterious symptoms attacking both her body and her voice.
But beyond the emotional toll, her health struggles raised another difficult reality. What would happen to the empire she had built if she could no longer manage it? With her fortune spread across music royalties, business ventures, and real estate, Céline was forced to confront the painful task of planning for a future where she might not be here to oversee it. Her openness about her illness drew admiration, but also sparked an outpouring of concern. Fans around the world expressed their heartbreak, not only at the thought of losing one of the greatest voices of all time, but also at the possibility that her empire might unravel without her. Could Céline, the woman who had built an empire from nothing, find a way to protect her legacy, even as her health declined? At the heart of Céline Dion's concerns is her family. Her 3 sons, René Charles, and twins Eddie and Nelson, are her greatest treasures. Since René Angélil's death, Céline has shouldered the role of both mother and father, fiercely devoted to ensuring her children's happiness and security. As her health struggles grew more serious, so did her determination to protect their future. Céline has reportedly taken steps to safeguard her fortune, setting up trusts and legal structures to ensure her wealth is preserved and fairly distributed to her children. For her, the money isn't just numbers in a bank account. It's a lifeline for the family she may one day leave behind. But protecting her children goes beyond finances. Céline has been open about wanting her sons to grow up grounded, not spoiled by the immense wealth they will inherit. She has spoken about teaching them values of humility, responsibility, and hard work. The same values she learned in her modest upbringing in Quebec. And yet, the weight of her fortune is undeniable. With an empire worth hundreds of millions, Céline knows that her children will one day face immense pressure from the public, from business interests, and even from extended family. The tears shed over her legacy are not just about love, but about the heavy responsibility her fortune represents. For Céline, the challenge is clear. How do you leave behind unimaginable wealth without leaving behind unimaginable burdens? Money, especially in such staggering amounts, has a way of complicating even the closest of families. Céline Dion's fortune, amassed from decades of touring, residencies, and business ventures, is estimated to be worth hundreds of millions. But with such wealth comes responsibility, and sometimes division. While Céline has always prioritized her children, extended family members have occasionally been at the center of speculation. Coming from a large family of 14 siblings, Céline has deep ties to relatives who were part of her journey from the very beginning. Some helped nurture her talent, while others benefited from her success. Over the years, whispers have emerged about disputes over financial support, business deals, and even creative control. Céline, known for her generosity, has provided for many in her family. But generosity can be a double-edged sword. When wealth flows so freely, expectations grow. The emotional strain of balancing loyalty, love, and financial responsibility has weighed heavily on her. As her health struggles became public, these tensions only grew sharper. Who would oversee Céline's empire if she were unable to? Would her children, still young, be able to shoulder the weight? Or would other voices step in, leading to conflicts that could tear the family apart? It's this uncertainty that has made Céline's fortune such an emotional subject. Her family's tears are not just about the possibility of losing her, but about the daunting reality of managing the colossal empire she leaves behind. So, how does a woman who once had nothing ensure that her life's work doesn't divide the people she loves most? At the heart of Céline Dion's fortune and fame is one man, René Angélil. René wasn't just Céline's husband, he was her architect. From the moment he mortgaged his home to finance her first album, he believed in her talent more than anyone else. Together, they created not only a marriage but a global business partnership that transformed Céline into a legend. René handled negotiations with precision. He fought for her to have creative control over her music. He secured residencies and tours that redefined the industry. And he guided her through the treacherous waters of fame with a steady hand. Every dollar Céline earned, every record she broke, carried René's fingerprints. His death in 2016 was a devastating personal loss, but also a turning point for Céline's career. For the first time, she was left to manage the empire without him. While she had a team of advisors and managers, no one could truly replace René's vision or his role as protector.
Céline Dion stepped on the red carpet Monday for the premiere of her new documentary, looking very much like the Céline Dion we all know and love.
To this day, Céline continues to honor René's influence. She has spoken about raising their children to understand who he was and the sacrifices he made. For her, preserving his legacy is just as important as protecting her own. But René's absence has also deepened the questions around Céline's fortune. Without him, and with her health now in jeopardy, who will carry the torch forward? Will her children step into René's shoes, or will the empire they built together slowly fade? At the core of Céline Dion's extraordinary wealth is something money can't buy: her voice. From the moment she first stepped on stage as a child in Quebec, it was clear that her talent was something rare, something otherworldly. Critics described her voice as angelic yet powerful, capable of soaring high notes that could shatter glass and tender whispers that could move audiences to tears. Her voice wasn't just a gift, it was a business. Each album she released turned into millions of copies sold. Singles like The Power of Love, Because You Loved Me, and of course, My Heart Will Go On didn't just top charts, they became cultural phenomena. For every chart-topping song, Céline earned not only royalties, but also long-term income streams that continue to flow decades later. Consider the impact of My Heart Will Go On. The song, tied to the blockbuster Titanic, became one of the best-selling singles of all time. To this day, it generates royalties from streaming, radio play, and licensing. Multiply that by dozens of hits across multiple languages, and you begin to see how Céline's voice literally built the foundation of her empire. But what makes this story even more remarkable is Céline's work ethic. Unlike many artists who rest on a few big hits, Céline toured relentlessly, sometimes performing over 100 shows a year. Each performance wasn't just entertainment, it was a multi-million-dollar operation. Tickets, merchandise, sponsorships, all of it fed into the machine that her voice powered. Still, her voice is more than just numbers. It's the heart of her fortune, yes, but it's also the soul of her legacy. And as her illness now threatens her ability to perform, the world can't help but wonder, will her empire survive without the very gift that built it? Céline Dion's wealth isn't just measured in dollars and assets. For her family, every part of her empire carries deep emotional meaning. Her perfume empire? It isn't just bottles of fragrance, it's a reminder of her ability to reinvent herself beyond music. Her Las Vegas residencies? They aren't just shows, but memories of years when she stood at the pinnacle of her powers, dazzling audiences night after night. Even her homes, from the Florida estate to her Las Vegas mansion, are not merely real estate. They're places where her children grew up, where she shared quiet dinners, where she laughed and cried with Renee. For her family, the wealth Céline leaves behind isn't just material inheritance, it's a living archive of her journey. Every contract signed, every stage lit, every dollar earned was tied to her sacrifices and her relentless pursuit of excellence. And this is why her family's tears are not just about the size of her fortune. They're about what it represents: decades of love, resilience, and the unshakable bond between Céline, Renee, and their children. But as touching as this emotional legacy is, it also raises a painful question. How do you divide something so deeply personal into numbers and legal documents? How do you protect a legacy when it's tied not just to money, but to memories too precious to put a price on? Céline Dion has never shied away from hard truths. From the moment she revealed her illness publicly, she chose transparency, even when it meant showing vulnerability. That same courage extends to the way she has approached her fortune. Sources close to her inner circle suggest that Céline has been meticulous about planning for the inevitable. Estate lawyers, financial advisors, and trustees have worked alongside her to ensure that her wealth will not become a source of chaos after she is gone. Her three sons, René, Charles, Nelson, and Eddie, are at the center of this plan. Each is protected by trusts that will provide for them financially while also guiding them with strict conditions to prevent excess or exploitation. But Céline's vision extends beyond her children. She has also earmarked parts of her fortune for charitable foundations, particularly those related to healthcare, poverty, and music education. In doing so, she ensures that her empire doesn't just enrich her family, but also touches the lives of strangers in need. Still, even with such careful planning, questions linger. Will her children, still so young, be able to carry the immense responsibility of her empire? Or will her legacy ultimately be shaped by those outside the family, leaving her fortune vulnerable to the very forces she worked so hard to protect it from? When we talk about Céline Dion, it's tempting to focus on numbers: albums sold, dollars earned, properties owned. But her true legacy transcends all of that. Céline Dion is not just a wealthy entertainer. She is a cultural force. She gave the world songs that became soundtracks to weddings, graduations, heartbreaks, and triumphs. Her voice comforted millions, lifted spirits in dark times, and brought joy to generations. Her wealth, staggering as it is only one part of her story. What she leaves behind is far greater: resilience, humility, generosity, and love. For her children, that means inheriting not just money, but values. For her fans, it means remembering an artist who gave everything to her craft. Even now, as her health struggles keep her from the stage, her influence remains unshakable. Céline Dion's empire may one day pass to others, but her music, her impact, and her story will live forever. And that is why her family's tears are not just about wealth. They are about watching the end of an era, about saying goodbye to a woman who carried the world on her voice, and about realizing that no fortune can ever equal the treasure of having Céline herself. Céline Dion's journey is one of the most extraordinary stories in music history. From humble beginnings in Quebec to global superstardom, she built an empire worth hundreds of millions. But behind the numbers lies a story of love, sacrifice, heartbreak, and resilience. Now, as she faces her greatest challenge, Céline has shown once again why she is more than a superstar. She is an icon of strength, Her fortune may make headlines, but her true wealth lies in the love she gave, the music she created, and the legacy she leaves behind. So, what do you think? Is Celine's greatest inheritance the fortune she leaves her family, or the timeless music she leaves the world? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories of the stars you thought you knew. Because behind every fortune, behind every stage light, there's always a deeper story waiting to be told.